Hello, everybody. Welcome to BraveMaker's Mastermind and Creative Support Group. Really glad that everybody's here live. And on the replay, if you're watching on the replay, we're glad that you're here too. This is March 31st, and it is 2025. This is our 44th session with the BraveMaker Mastermind. And I am coming off of the comedy and variety show that we did last night, our first ever. It was super fun. Um, I'm not hungover because I only had 3 drinks, but I am emotionally and creatively hungover in the best way possible. We had a really fun time last night, and then of course everybody went out. Not everybody, but like 6 of us went out last night and talked some more and ate burritos. And in the middle of downtown Redwood City, everything like this restaurant closed and this bar closed, and we just kept moving and hopping around, but it was super fun. So thank you to everybody who came last night and or helped and donated. Kelly got us a really cool wine subscription for the auction. We also had Gwyn, who's in this membership, who was a part of making the stage come together. We had Gabrielli, who was there on the stage, and Jacob, who also helped greeting and working with all of the guests who came. And then Dashel was there hanging out and watching. So just again, a huge thank you to everybody who made this possible. We were able to raise about $4,000 for the festival, which was great. Our goal was 10K, but hey, we'll take four. And this was again our first ever. The hope is that this gets into our rhythm for the fundraising strategy every year, something in March that also gets heads up people excited about the July Film Festival. So yeah, thank you everybody who came, who were there last night. Make sure you show our performers some love. Emmy Nightingale, Yesenia, Willie, Mac, and Leah Knauer. The performers truly did crush it. They really did. The music was great. Leah just stole the show. It was so great. So again, thank you everybody for being a part of that. And before we bring our guest today, quick reminder, this Thursday is our meetup. It's the first Thursday of every month. Reminder, you all get that included in your membership. So it starts at 6:30 p.m. at Ghostwood Kitchen. It includes the appetizers, you buy your own drinks, and then we're going to do a table read with 11th Hour's new short film. So we have a table read with a director and 4 actors that are going to be there. And we'll go to the Odd Fellows, which is right next to the Alhambra House where we were last night. So we're in a new look, we're same restaurant, new location for the creative stuff that we do on April 3rd. And then we're almost in April. So don't forget, April 12th, 3 of you are signed up for Justin Lee's screenwriting intensive. And don't forget that that is for anybody, not just writers. It's great for producers and directors too, who want to learn how to make feature films, especially of the Lord Miller brand. If you liked Los Freakies, if you like the Spider-Man animated movies, that is all because of Justin and his creative work and development. Okay, more questions, let me know. I'll put the link in the chat. But with no further ado, let's bring in somebody who's a brave maker in her own right, a fearless finesse queen. I just kind of put a couple of the words she describes herself, and she's a multi hyphenate of many, many things. Noel Jackson is going to talk to us about the work that she's doing and the platforms that she is creating and all the acting and all the things. So, Noel, welcome to the Brave Maker Mastermind. Glad that you're here.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me, Tony. I am so excited to meet all of y'all. As Tony said, I'm A. Noel Jackson. It's so good to meet y'all. I'm a multi-hyphenate, a 7-time award-winning producer, and I am the founder and CEO of the Fearless Actress Company, and my brand is dope Black women and women of color who take no shit. Um, what I love to do is I love to share my story, my words of wisdom to anyone who would listen. And I have created my own short film called Outlaws that I had released on February 1st. I also launched my company on February 1st as well in Los Angeles, originally from Tacoma, Washington, and I moved from Tacoma to LA with less than $2,000 in
Mm.
my bank account, just packed my car and drove 17 hours to get here. And I'm just so thrilled to be able to share my story because a lot of people are they want to demystify the process. Like, what does it really take to become a creative? What does it take to be a producer, an actor, screenwriter? And what I love to do is I love to talk to young people and say, hey, you don't have to do exactly what I did. You don't have to move with less than $2,000 in your pocket. You can actually plan and be able to really go out after your dreams. And so I'm really excited to be here with y'all. Thank you so much, Tony, for showing my website. That's me with my big
Hmm.
head. And I just love sharing my story. So I also speak across the United States. I'll be flying out actually to Houston to speak at the Girls Empowerment Conference about my journey as a producer as well and as a creative. I speak to young women between the ages of 7 all the way up through college age. Oh yeah, that's me too. Yes, I've been
You're
featured
gonna
in
be seeing a
countless.
lot of yourself here
Oh
today.
yeah, look at my big head. I'm playing, y'all. I have been so blessed to share my story on Canvas Rebel, Sheen Magazine, and plenty of other platforms just to show that Hollywood may be a big open secret, but it's not that scary. You have a dream, you can definitely go for it. And I'm here to just give like a step-by-step process that may help you, achieve your goals.
Hmm.
With enough grit, determination, and tenacity, you can win. And
Yeah.
winning could look different for anyone. It could be, oh, you want to win your first film festival, that's a win. Creating your first project is a win. Oh my God, the obstacles that you go through to making your first project. And in those obstacles, you really are able to see who you are, not only as a creative, but as a man, a woman, as a human being in this earth. You can see the strength that you actually do have because there comes a lot of tenacity that develops when you're creating your first project or you're creating your 100th project. The system is exactly the same. So I'm super happy to share my story with y'all.
So, Noel, you started. I mean, your brand is called the Fearless Actress, right? So you
Yeah.
started as an actor, and it really has kind of pivoted and parlayed into all these things. Can you talk a little bit? Because we have on
Yes.
this call, there are people who are multi-hyphenates. There are a lot of actors, there are directors, there are producers, there are screenwriters, there are people who are doing a number of different things. But can you talk about kind of parlaying that actor life into now the producing and the other things that you're doing? I'm going to show you a reel while you talk.
Oh, absolutely. So, yes, I started in theater. So, I was in love with the theater process, love acting, still do. But then I realized that there was a whole nother world, like in the actual creation of a project, whether it be on film or on stage. And I just wanted to be so involved. I'm a very nosy person. And I'm curious and I'm inquisitive, and I think that that's really helped me shaped who I am today. Being curious about what other people are doing on set, being curious on how a Hollywood flat is built, being curious like how to create a world from a piece of paper, from your mind to paper.
Mhm.
I've always been curious about the entire process. And I think no matter what your discipline is, whether you are an actor, whether you're a screenwriter, being genuinely curious about life and what the other person is doing has been the biggest blessing in my life. And so I led with that curiosity and I allowed that to be my driving force. And oh my gosh, yes, shout out to you. Yes, me mostly live theater. Yes, I it's intoxicating because with theater, you are always on. There is no editing, there is no nothing. So you have to prep, you prepare, and it's whether it's theater or film, it's a collaborative process and you build these genuine friendships and almost familial relationships in order to create an amazing project. So, to answer your question, I've always approached the creative process with genuine curiosity and just executed. If I'm curious about something, I'm going to find the answer, or I'm going to go into, or I'm going to ask the person. And I never really had any fear to ask questions. So, I remember being a PA. I was working on a Food Network project, and I saw the team of producers, and they were like discussing budget, and I just went straight up to them. I said, "Hey, what are y'all doing?" And because they know that I was genuinely asking, saying like, "Hey, what are y'all up to? Why are y'all talking about money? Why are y'all talking about budgets?" They're like, "Oh, well, who are you?" And I introduced myself. "Hey, I'm Ana Well. I am a PA. I'm just genuinely curious because I love what I do, and I see that you all are discussing how to make this episode happen." And by leading with that, it has opened a lot of doors for me and a lot of relationships formed just because I asked the question of what are you doing?
Hmm. Tell me about it. Like you want to learn. I like that word curious a lot too. I think
Yeah.
I like how you're first like I'm nosy, but curious is what it is. I really do like that word curious. And I think I've said this before on this call, but my wife works with kids. We have three kids, but she's a TK teacher, and she'll often use the phrase "be curious, not furious." When something bad happens, this is kind of a parallel conversation, but I've
Mhm.
noticed in the industry, in life, complex challenges arise, obstacles, always something. And they could be very relational when it comes to working with people on set, disagreements, and the idea that we wouldn't first jump to conclusions and get mad and start pointing fingers or enraged and
Mhm.
maybe even miscommunicate or misunderstand. But if we back up and say, hey, how did this happen? Hey, help me understand. Curiously, I want to know, like, why didn't this thing happen that we talked about? Or why didn't the person show up when we expected them to? Or why is the camera not ready when we had planned? I like that idea of just in general, like, hey, be a curious person. Try to learn more about somebody before you write them off. Try to learn more about a project before you tell yourself you can't do it. You've probably heard this before. It's like I don't know how to do it or I can't do it, but add the word yet onto it. Because if you're an actor or a writer or a director or whatever you want to say, you're just I think it is really important in this culture of entertainment to try and learn more and how to create more. And I don't like to say do more as like the hustle to try to put more on our plate. But when we sit around as a director or a writer or an actor waiting for someone else
Mhm.
to fulfill our goals and dreams, we tend to wait around a lot. So can you talk about how that curiosity led you to
Ooh.
start making things and so you're asking about making a budget and then you start to create and then now you're an award-winning producer. Talk about that.
Yes. Okay. So I would love to, I'll focus on my short film, Outlaws. During the pandemic, there was nothing happening. Nothing was happening. Nothing was being shot. And just before the pandemic, I was feeling frustrated because as an actor, I was going out on auditions. I was putting, just grinding as much as I could. And then I would get to like the final stage and I didn't get the part. And so at the time, I was like getting my heart broken because I was like, well, why isn't this happening? Why isn't this happening? And I was talking to one of my good friends, Whitney, and she was having the same frustration. And so we were on the phone and she's like, I'm not understanding. Why can't we be these badass women? Why can't we have roles where we're throwing punches? And I said, you know what? Who said that we couldn't? Who said that we couldn't? I said, we are actually the ones placing these limitations on ourselves. Why are we waiting for someone to open the door when we have these skills that we may not even know that we can do, but we have the mindset to make something happen? Let's just execute and see what happens. So that night, I hang up from her and I wrote uh, 12 pages for Outlaws that night. And I said, what about this? Sent it to her the next morning. And so she was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And I said, well, let's just do it. Let's just do it. Just because you have a no, that doesn't mean it's a no forever. It's just it's a redirection. You are finding your road. You're finding the path that's exactly for you. And for me, that the creative process has been most helpful. So I ended up creating Outlaws, wrote out 12 pages, of course, had to edit because, writing is rewriting, y'all. And then in 2021, We shot it in my hometown. And as I said, you don't know the answer till you ask the question. So I hit up all of my friends back at home and I was like, hey, I'm making this thing. Do you know someone that owns a bar that looks like a modern day Western vibe? And one of my best friends says, oh, yeah, I know this person. So we got Dusty's Hideaway for $0.
Mm,
They just thought it was such a cool project to do, and they just wanted the credit.
mhm.
So we shouted them out in the credits and on our social media. The people that you see in the film, that's Whitney with her hat on, are looking amazing. The guy next to her is one of my friend's brothers, and he always wanted to be an actor. So we literally just pulled all our resources together. I budgeted out about $12,000 to shoot because I wanted to make sure that I paid my cast and my crew appropriately.
Did you
And did.
crowdfund?
No, I what I did
Okay.
is I had pulled uh Whitney and I pulled our money together and
Wow.
we made it happen.
I
Um,
love that.
because if you want something really bad enough, you're gonna find a way to do it. And so I saved up all my checks
Yep.
and we were able to execute this and launched it on my YouTube channel this year. And so what it comes down to for finding out the next project or the next question or just leading with that curiosity and making sure that that fire is still lit within you and not getting defeated by the no's. The no's are going to happen regardless. It is how do you take that no and turn it into a yes for yourself? And
Mhm.
that's what I decided to do.
So good. And I really wanted to applaud you. It's so hard to spend money. It's so hard to spend our own money. It's hard to crowdfund. No matter which way, it is hard to make a film. But being able to like use your own money, I think that's something I learned early on too, is I don't have a lot of money to spend. We're all on this call, like trying to say how we can we survive. The economy, the entertainment culture right now is totally changing, but it does say something when you take a risk on yourself and you bet on yourself and you invest. You literally invested your own money in yourself. So just, kudos to you for doing that and for Whitney for pooling the money together. I think that is so inspiring. And then you go, what can we do with what we have? Can we find this? By the way, did you have to do much production design for the Dusty Bar? Because it looked like
Oh,
it. Yeah, great. Yeah. So you kind of
everything
show
was
up and film there.
already set.
Yep. Great.
It was cool.
Yeah. Right. So you're going, all right, what do we need? What's the vibe? Can we find it? Yes. Boom. And then it's like instant production design for you. So what was the goal with making Outlaws? Did you achieve it? What's next? What did you learn? What will you do differently? What will you do differently next time?
My goal, it originally was just to make a film that resonated with me and my friend Whitney. It changed while we were creating the process because we are so proud of this project that now I've expanded it into a series. So I wrote 3 episodes so far. And now, in terms of talking about crowdfunding, we are interested in using crowdfunding as a way to develop funds. I've been talking with a couple of producers that are interested in donating as well. And it has turned into like an entire world. So like I've been in talks with creating a graphic novel,
Mm-hmm.
creating yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
so excited. And so I was speaking to an animator who formerly worked at A24 randomly. I was at my favorite restaurant and she just seemed so cool. And so we just strike up a conversation. Once again, genuine curiosity. You have a really cool vibe. I like what you're wearing. What's that? And that conversation turned into, oh yeah, I work for A24. I'm as an animator and I create comics. I said, oh my gosh, I have a project that I want to create as a graphic novel. That's how we became really cool. And I just see it once was just like this little seed, like, oh, I just need a project. I just need to get it out my system. And now it has opened this entire world. So you just never know. You think you're going into a project or like a train of thought in one direction. And then that door opens to a myriad of directions. And that is the most exciting thing.
I know people will definitely resonate with this on this call, but you're thinking about, okay, it started out in one way and now I'm going to potentially put it into a graphic novel. There are so many iterations or variations of our stories, right? So I have
Mhm.
been trying to make this animated feature, which is how I initially connected with our special guest for April 12th, Justin Lee. I have an animated feature about Mrs. Claus as a secret agent. And, I've been working on it for 4 or 5 years and it's finished. I've done so many iterations and now it's kind of sitting around and, animation's so expensive to make. And, I'm also looking for representation with it. It's like a sample for reps. But I have a friend who's an amazing artist and designer, and she's like, "Why don't we turn it into a book, like a children's book? Why don't we put, self-distribute it on Amazon, and then it becomes our own intellectual property? If I can say I have Mrs. Claus' Secret Agent as a children's book first, then it's like, oh, people are like, oh, cool, you already have this world, you've built this whole world. So I think that is so smart. I'm like, all of us on the call right now, if you're trying to make a show, if you're trying to write a song, if you're trying to do a feature, if you're trying to whatever you're trying to do, and you feel like you're stalling, is there a different version, a different universe that story can live in? Try to
Mhm.
create that, even if it's like this vertical thing, which is blowing up right now. I'm even thinking like, okay, I need to make a vertical show. Maybe we do this next thing for our Brave Maker Academy. We have a acting school, but vertical series are becoming such a thing. Everybody is talking about them right now. So I think you're really smart about going, okay, how can Outlaws be a graphic novel? So can you talk through, we have a few more minutes before we'll do questions from everybody.
Oh.
Can you talk through, so you've also kind of parlayed this calling and passion into speaking engagements and mentoring and coaching, which again is a whole other, again, source of revenue and way that you're building your audience and building your network. So talk a little bit about that.
It's so ironically funny because when it comes to mentoring, it wasn't a calling that I recognized in myself. It was other people recognizing it within me.
That's good.
So this one gentleman who I still mentor to this day, his name is Marcel. And I met him years ago when I was a lead intern for the Broadway Center in Tacoma, Washington.
Hmm.
And I just saw something in him that was just truly incredible. He was such a talented person, but he was just like kind of like this ready kid, like, just wanted to goof off and everything, didn't really care much about school until we met each other. And I just told him, like, hey, you have a higher calling on your life, right? And then from there, we developed a really cool friendship, sweet guy. And then he one day asked me, well, can you mentor me? I said, me? I said, okay, look, I don't know nothing about mentoring, but I'll do the best I can. And I gave him my sound advice, and he went from not really caring about school to securing a full ride scholarship in college. He went from that to just he went from like C's to A's. Now he is one of the most sought out musicians in the Pacific Northwest. And then from there, that's when I realized, oh, maybe I do have something. And then I started sharing my story about going from working in theater to making the switch to film into PA work. And then in the greater Seattle area, I realized that there was not enough young women that looked like me on set. And that concerned me because that led me to think that there's not enough people talking about getting into the film industry in a safe way. There's not enough people and not enough young kids knowing that becoming a production assistant is a surefire way
Mm.
to learn about the industry and get paid and then working your way up. So that's when I started speaking in schools. I started contacting schools myself. I created a one sheeter, sent it off to like their theater departments, department heads, in different school systems. And I said, hey, I have a story to share. Can I just
Yep.
speak to your kids? So
Yep.
I went from speaking for free, and now of course, now I get paid to speak. And it has just been an amazing experience and something that I will never take for granted.
That's huge. That is entrepreneurialism right there. And I think all of us on this call, one of the reasons why we do this on a weekly basis on Mondays is because entertainment and the creativity that we're all doing really needs to be looked at as entrepreneurialism. We are our own CEOs. We we have to build our own companies. We are every single movie that is made becomes an LLC, right? So this is really, really a good reminder. And also finding ways to monetize because this is not a typical business. It's not a typical 9 to 5. We don't get paid like everybody else does. We don't have benefits that come with us. We have to create those pathways. So, yeah, thank you for that reminder. And just even simply what I hear you saying too, everybody on this call can bring value to someone else, to another community, to a school, to somewhere, right? Think about how can you promote yourself, be your own publicist until you get the funds to pay someone else to do it, but be your own publicist. Put together a little sheet. Hey, that's what BraveMaker. I created BraveMaker because I needed it for myself, but now it's like launched me into a platform where I then now have the opportunities to go and speak. I get to go to USC in a couple weeks, and we're doing a whole panel. And you're out of town because you were going to be on it. Uh,
I
we're doing a whole panel on entertainment entrepreneurialism and how do you make your own opportunities. So I think that is, yeah, I love that stuff. Hard and a lot of work, right? And sometimes really humbling. Like, how do I promote slash brag about myself in a humble way, but also like appeal to people that, hey, I am somebody who has created something. I am somebody who can make things happen. I am somebody who is impacting and changing lives. I am somebody who's making great shit. Before we jump into the question and response time, talk about the badass women stuff that you're doing and that whole thing.
saw what you did there, and that was real smooth. Yes.
Transition king over here.
So I have fallen in love with documentaries, and my best friend Abby Ebenezer and we joined forces to create the documentary film Badass Women Doing Kick-Ass Shit. And that film highlighted 8 women of color who were competing for their respective seats in political offices all across the United States. This film was shot during the pandemic, so it was really interesting putting all of this footage together. But we highlighted former Senator of Washington, Mona Doss, because she was the first brown woman to hold that seat in the state of Washington, along with 7 other women from all various different backgrounds. And some of these women actually won their seats in office. So it was such an amazing experience because we were able to see the other side of politics. We did tackle some strong issues like Roe versus Wade, and also attacking what they were going through as women in this industry. So you can actually see it on Tubi, Apple TV,
Awesome.
uh, Amazon Prime. I'm just so proud of this project. We ended up walking away with a total of 8 awards. I won 7. My best friend won 8 awards for this project. So
Wow.
when you follow your passions, just out of genuine curiosity, wanting to learn about people, you just never know how it's going to bless you in return.
Mhm. Boom. All right. Well, let's turn it over to our team here.
Yeah.
Shauna Corasani says, "Ooh, I need to watch that." Yes, you do.
Period.
Would anybody like to raise their hand and come to the front and talk to A Noel, ask a question? I have a couple more questions too. I definitely want to dig into like the dark side of the industry and talk a little bit about how you're navigating some of the things that are happening right now when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion threats that are coming down the pike. And, we are hearing studios and production companies taking direction from
Mhm.
these threats. So I want to get your thought around that as well as just the challenge of doing this stuff and how you sustain this career. So keep that in mind as I bring Anita to the forefront.
Okay.
Hi, thank you so much for hopping on. I just want to say that I really, one, love your makeup. You look amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
And your energy, just like hearing your story, I really like resonate with people who have an idea and go after it. I specifically resonated with the $2,000 in the bank account and went to this place. So my name's Nita. I'm a writer director, and I'm working on a TV show about manifesting money. And that's why I really resonate with that story because I think we see these stories, but we don't always know the physical numbers that were in our bank account. So again, thank you for sharing that. One thing that I've been struggling with, and I felt the need to ask you about this, is that I heard a calling from God for me to go to LA. And I'm going to be completely honest, I don't like LA. There's something about it where I'm just like, I hate when I'm there. I'm agitated. And so when God told me this, I was like, no, literally no. And so I guess I'm just curious, what comes up for you when you hear me say this? And I just feel like I need to hear it from you.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, it's such a pleasure to meet you, Anita. I love your makeup as well. You look absolutely beautiful. Secondly, I understand that feeling. It's interesting because I knew I'm a believer as well. And I knew that God told me that you're going to LA. He said straight up, you're going to LA. And for me, I I understand the conflict because you're like, well, that's not my vibe. I'm not sure why, but I definitely want to encourage you that there is a reason why that that calling was placed on your life. There's a very specific reason as to why. Now, I can't tell you what that is. I'm not God, so I'm not going to even try to to even preach in that way, but I know that in my life when God gives me a directive and I follow it, there is always a huge blessing even within the obstacles. There's a huge blessing on the other side. And so it may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but there is a reason as to why that hit in your soul and in your heart to make the move to LA. I know for me, I moved with less than $2,000 and God told me, yeah, you're moving. And I'm like, okay, well, what money? But but I knew that I was meant to do that. Um, and so I encourage you to really like pray, meditate, and make sure that it is a clear directive that you are led to move. And ask God for a sign. Like if we want to keep it spiritual, ask God for a sign. Like, okay, Lord, if this is what you really called me to do, I need to see and be very specific. I need to see this, and you'll see it. You'll see if it's meant, but always remember that just just because we may not want to do something, there is a bigger calling and reason why you're led to do something. So I definitely leave with that because I when I saw you, I get it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Anita, I grew up, in a faith community too, and have this pastoral and Bible background. And if I was like a fire and brimstone preacher, which I'm not, I would have to remind you that in the Bible, Jonah was told to go to Nineveh, and when he didn't, he was swallowed by a whale. No, just kidding. So stay off the ocean for a while. Okay, just be careful. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I think when we do have those tugs, let me just say this. There are, if you really heard move to LA, that's one thing, definitely do it. But there's also like go visit, go hang out in LA. There are things in LA, right? You can join us once a month when we're doing our BraveMaker events in LA. And I was just hanging out in LA. It was Studio City for our BraveMaker drop in there. And somebody said to me, very similar. LA can feel so oppressive and so icky and dirty in some places, especially Hollywood. Hollywood is not a very clean place, right? But this director said, I have to live here in Studio City. I have to be around the mountains. I have to be around the greenery. And there is places in LA that can feel very life-giving. So I just throw that out there as a way, drop in here and there, find the places that do bring you life. Because if it truly is what your calling is, then you'll benefit from going after it. Thank you for being vulnerable and saying that too, Anita. I really appreciate that. All right, I'm going to bring in Gabriele Trejo. Where is she? There we go.
Yeah, thank you, Anita, for sharing. I love the vulnerability. I could be pretty vulnerable too, and just like knowing that is definitely our superpower, right? As humans, as we share stories, as we share. what makes us brave. So thank you for coming here, sharing your story and vulnerability. And in a way, like your testimony too of what it's like to go and pursue your dreams and passion. My question is, I'm an actress. I'm also writing. I'm currently working on my first like screenwriter little thing. I'm joining the screenwriter class, basically basing the story on my life as a Latina, growing up in my family, learning flea market vending and street knowledge versus like knowledge. It's like in business, so the business of the streets versus corporations and things. So I'm just working on that and
Hmm.
just letting myself explore and be free and using my imagination, connecting to your younger self. And I guess my question is because I'm currently in San Francisco and in this transition in my life as well. Money's tight, but I'm realizing like, yeah, like don't let that limiting belief of like I don't have enough stop me from, what I'm capable of and my passions, like you're saying, like going where your passion is going. So my question is, as you've been now established in LA, how was that like finding your people there, like your community, and even now that you're more established, how do you um keep up with your people and your family and make time for community and rest? So,
Okay. Yes. So I'll say it like this. For me, you just make it work. There's no such thing as balance. Especially as an entrepreneur, you're gonna find your flow. But I also want to say that like when you're creative, I know that it feeds you. It feeds you. And I want to tie it into what Anita was asking as well. When you first get to LA, of course you're the new guy. Um, do not be afraid to find events to go to. Do not be afraid to put yourself out there. And so practically what I did is I was like, you know what? I'm ready to go see LA. So what I did is I went and I visited LA for a week. I had a friend that was here already, and I had said it out on my socials, I'm ready to check out LA. I know I'm supposed to be in LA. And my friend hit me up, was like, hey, you can crash on my couch, check it out for a week, let me know what you think. And so I did that. I did just that. I drove. I drove down, stayed with her for a week. She was staying in Pasadena, and I checked out all of the different neighborhoods. I checked out Eagle Rock, I checked out Hollywood, checked out the Valley, North Ridge to get a feel of the neighborhoods and just to do another gut check to make sure that I'm meant to be here. And when I made that drive and as soon as I reached, welcome to Los Angeles, I was like, yeah, this is it. I felt it in my gut. Like this was it. Online, what I did also is I signed up for meetup.com. And that is a website where you can see like different events happening, different groups happening, anywhere where you're at. But I made it specific to LA just to see what I can check out. And I remembered vividly finding Bonnie Gillespie. She is also a indie casting director, and she's also into woo-woo astrology and what have you. And when I saw her content, she seemed community based. So I signed up for one of her classes and was able to meet a lot of people there. And from there, I started to develop my own community, made sure I kept up with people on their social media as I followed them on Instagram or Twitter, or what have you. And I just made sure that I carved out time to communicate. And sometimes it could be nerve-wracking, especially if you are more of an introvert. But I promise you, like having that genuine curiosity, looking for different events, and going and seeing and just being in the mindset that you're meeting your people. When I drove to LA, I told the Lord, I was like, God, connect me to the people that are for me and I'm for them. And it takes time, but you will have your people for sure.
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, Gabrielle. We'll bring in Jacob Gunter next.
Hi, Jacob.
Hey, Noel. Oh my gosh, I love your energy.
I
Thank
appreciate
you
you.
so much. Thank you for what you're saying. I relate to so much of what you've been talking about so far. Paving your way, finding your own way. Like that's something that I'm in the middle of doing right now or I guess I'm doing it right now, is
Yeah.
finding that way forward. I definitely a while back I got called out to LA by God also, and eventually I got called back up to the Bay, and when I got called back up, my life flourished in a totally different way, and it's been so beautiful. I met a wonderful woman, Gabrielle. I met some really cool people. I got so much more involved with BraveMaker, and I got such a reality shift when I was down in LA when I'm back up here. And one of the things that I've been looking for lately too is how to have that like unstoppable energy that you have. Like, what do you do? Like, how does that resonate so well inside you? Because the moment I hopped on this call, I was like, yes, like this, I want more of this in my life. And so, what do you do?
What keeps me going, keeps me zest.
Yeah, heck
At the
yeah,
end of the day, I'm genuinely excited about my life.
yeah,
I really am because I get to wake up in the morning and I get to live and I get to breathe. And that for me is everything, you know,
yeah.
getting very personal here. I recently lost my dad. I
Mm,
lost my dad a few months ago, back in October 2024. And we had a very rocky relationship on and off.
yeah,
But the past few years, I was able to learn a lot about my father. And he actually dreamt of getting into journalism and getting into the news, but he just could not figure out a way in. And then he had told me how proud he was of me over the past few years because it wasn't always like that. He was he's a military man. I come from a military family. I'm the only artist. And so can you imagine that? So when he finally revealed that that was a part of him that was unfulfilled, I that gave me even more permission to live. Another person in my life, I met her when I was 5, my great grandmother. So my great grandmother dreamt of being a screenwriter, and she was actually really good friends with Cecil B. DeMille, and he was the filmmaker of like the big Bible epics like the Ten Commandments, and he wanted to create another film that was Bible based, and he reached out to my great grandmother. Now she was a victim of domestic violence, and during a fight, my great grandfather threw her script into a fiery furnace. So this has been kind of like a long line of um, unrealized dreams. And so when I think about that, that really gives me the uh, the zest for life to keep going because I'm literally standing on my ancestors' wildest dreams. I'm standing on their shoulders and able to push that dream a little bit further. Um, and so that's what really gives me that light to keep going because I know that they could not.
Thank you so much, and Noel, for what you said. Grief has been such a huge part of my journey as well, and I relate so much to that, and that's such a beautiful thing to say. The last gift that my dad gave me before he passed away was, he said, if you believe in something, don't stop fighting until you get it. If you
That's
really want something and you love something, never stop. And so I thank you for sharing that. That's really well said and very beautiful.
Thank you. Absolutely.
And
And
it seems like you're doing everything you can to honor their memory and to honor the people that to bring the dreams forward of your family, of your life. And so good job. You are inspiring. I know you're inspiring me, and I can see you're inspiring everyone else here too. So you're definitely doing God's work and the work of your family.
and you are too. You are too. I'm just a reflection of you. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I'm just another version of you, as a line from one of our recent short films. We're all in some way reflecting each other and other versions of each other. Yep, that's good. All right, Dashel, hello, welcome.
Hi, I just want to say you are an amazing person. I admire your energy,
Thank you.
you- and you mentioned that you enjoy documentaries, and I am actually working on one on my own self.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's so dope.
yeah, it's about the history of Down syndrome,
Mhm.
and but because it's not really taught in schools, and just that not many people realize that we have so much to offer,
Mhm.
and I wanted to make this documentary as a way to tell people it's okay to be ourselves, and
Yeah.
the prejudice about us
Mhm.
is just something. It's just a part of our story. We have a chance to get creative, think around it,
Mhm.
and I think that's healthy. And one of my uncles passed away, and
Mhm.
it was hard for me personally.
Mhm.
And with this documentary, I hope to honor what he left behind. And my question is, how can I focus more on making it more impactful in a way that would get more attention, and not just that, but also communicate to the whole world what it
Mhm.
means when we come together,
Mhm.
we are one.
First of all, thank you so much for sharing your story. You are absolutely right. We are one. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing, because what you're doing right now, sharing your story, even with us, that's impact. I'm so sorry about the loss of your uncle. I understand how that feels. When it comes to your particular story, there are not enough stories being shared about that community. And so, one way practically you can continue to share, hopping on lives on Instagram, utilizing TikTok, utilizing your social media will do wonders. And setting up lives like like this one, saying like, hey, this is my story, this is who I am, I'm Dashel, and I have Down syndrome, and I'm freaking amazing, and here's why. Letting people know who you are and not being afraid to sharing your story in that way, bringing attention is going to make you're already making impact, but being vocal on your social media is going to drive the point home. um TikTok is an amazing platform to use, and when you also find uh other people to connect with on those social media platforms, we're going to just amplify you even more. So don't shy away from using your social media. Go on live on Instagram, go live on TikTok if you're able to, and just start creating content in that way to make us pay attention to you. We already see you. You are seen and you are loved, baby. Just double down and say, hey, what you're missing in the film industry is my story. That's exactly how you're going to command our attention. And I'm sending you so much love, and you let me know however I can help to amplify. I'm here for you.
Yeah, I put my email in the chat.
Perfect. We'll stay in touch, of course.
Good question, Dashel. Thank you. I'm stoked I get to help produce this documentary with you, Dashel. It's going to be a great story. Gosh, such a good little nugget there. I got some chills going on. I saw somebody else have some chills in the comments as well. Well, let's get to how do you navigate through some of the hard times? How
Mhm.
are you, I've been trying to reframe the word rejection, but there's a lot of times we are not selected. Our film is not picked up. Our pitch is not funded. Our auditions are not booked, right? What kind of thoughts do you have around dealing with not being selected?
Oh, okay. I have a very specific story. So there was a project for Amazon Prime. This was years back. And I just knew I booked that role. I just knew I had it. It literally came down between me and one other girl. And I ended up not booking that project. Why? Because she had more social media followers than I did. It was not my talent. I definitely had it. It was my wardrobe. It wasn't anything other than she had more social media following. Now, how did I reframe that? I After, of course, I was butthurt. Like, let's just keep it real. I was butthurt. I was like, dang, just because of my social media. But I also was like, you know what, God, I thank you because it wasn't what I delivered. Social media, I can change that tomorrow. Okay, cool. I can create content tomorrow. I can build up that like tomorrow. I had to reframe my mind that just because it's a no right now, that's not a no forever. And that fire led me to create Outlaws. That fire led me to create my own content. And so sometimes if we're not careful, we let the no defeat us. But guess what? You still alive, you still breathing. We are literally in the space right now to really take our creation in our minds and execute it. This era right now of filmmaking is in the power of the independent filmmaker. You can clearly see the studios are risk averse. They are too scared to take risks. So that's why you see Fast and Furious, even though I love it, like 100. You see Marvel 10,000 because they are not thinking creatively. That is the greatest power that we have is being creative, is creating something out of nothing. So the question of how I deal with no's and rejection, I treat it as a redirect. Okay, God, so this is a not yet. So then where are you leading me to? And also, I don't ignore how I feel. Don't push it away, say like, oh, well, that's okay. No, feel that, feel that hurt. Don't stay in the hurt, but feel that. Recognize how you feel. Like, man, that does really suck. I did really want that. And then also recognize that all of the steps led you into that room. Like as an actor, I mean, I can recount back 10 years ago, 5 years ago, like, I just wanted to get that one audition. Now you're in the room. You're in the room. That's a blessing within itself to be in the room. I remember when I was just trying to figure out how to even get into the room. So I have to count everything, in joy and also realize, okay, there's more work to do. And that's also okay. And being okay in that space is what keeps me grounded. Um, and so I hope that does help the rest of y'all that it's okay. And the no's are going to happen just like a yes is going to happen.
That's so good. Well, I also you had so many things. There's no right way or no one way, right, to deal with and process all of the feelings or negativity or the sense of abandonment or not being included. But some good ways to do it are obviously to acknowledge it and feel it, and then to keep reminding like we have to create the opportunities for ourselves. And when no one else selects us, we select us, right? We green light ourselves. And I want to circle back too as a reminder, like you're talking about social media, just being able to go, I can create something right now on my phone that can feel satisfactory to me. And you can also, as you're encouraging Dashel, advocate for yourself. Talk about the experience because you're not alone in this, right? If you go on and say, hey, I'm going to just be some transparent, knowledge dropper right now and say, I'm feeling low, didn't get selected, I didn't get the gig because of ABCD, but here's how I'm processing it. That's going to benefit someone else too. That creativity will bless someone else. And in a real practical sense, some of you know a couple weeks ago, we were trying to get the attention of Cinemark. So we have our film festival in July. And they didn't want us to be there because it's too busy. They're trying to make room for Superman. They have 20 screens, and I guess they wanted to put it on 19. I'm like, oh, come on. So I just went on social media, not trying to be shamey or judgy, but I'm like, hey, I'm Tony from BraveMaker. I'm at Cinemark right now. Cinemark, this is our home. Been, for the past 6 years. We would love to have a theater here this year, blah, blah, blah. Anyone who has any pull, please help. And then people were commenting. And then we had some of our team members call and email, and they gave us one screen just last week. We got a conversation with them. We zoomed with two of their people, and they're like, "Hey, okay, cool. This isn't ideal for us, but we appreciate you. We love what BraveMaker's doing. We wish you would move to May or September." I'm like, "We're not doing that." And then they're like, "Okay, we'll give you one screen." Like, okay, cool. So yes, you can use your social media for such momentum and advocacy that's going to get and benefit your creative work or whatever you're trying to accomplish. And I know not everybody likes to do that. And if you're just so against it, honor yourself, honor your mental health, and don't do it. But there is something to be said about intentionally using it for a storytelling mechanism that's going to bring attention to your work and help you be seen. So that's really good stuff, Noel. Really, really good stuff.
And shout out to you, Tony, because I know you had to be vulnerable in that moment, saying, "Hey, this is what I'm going through, and this sucks. This really sucks." But also, I need help.
Yep.
It's interesting that sometimes we can like shroud our own selves with shame because we need the help. But that is the time to ask. Just put out the ask. Once again, genuine curiosity. Hey, do you know anybody? Because I'm trying to do this positive thing and I've reached an obstacle. Can you help me? And you'll be so surprised on how many people will just give.
Hmm. Totally. Yeah, as we end here, I am thinking about that taking a risk and betting on yourself. And just wanted to shout out last night at our comedy show, our actors came on stage and, we took a little risk and tried to do some improv. And sometimes improv doesn't always hit. But I'm like, we got up there. All right. You got up there. We made some funny things and noises and did some silly sketches, but we were up there. And it is something to be proud of, to take a risk on yourself, right? To put yourself out there regardless. Like, would you rather have put yourself out there and had not done it and then go, oh, I didn't do it, I didn't try, or done it and go, oh, that didn't hit. Maybe I could try something different next time. What did I learn? And the cool thing is, as I was processing with Leah Knauer, who crushed it and stole the show and it was amazing. She's like, yeah, but last night I was in LA and I had a bomb of a show. People weren't giving me anything good to work with. She does this improv singing stuff and she goes around and sings with people. And she said people were just kind of like nothing, giving her nothing. It like was all falling flat. Like you just never know from night to night, what can happen as a comedian. So I felt so encouraged with us Brave Maker people. Like this was a risk to even put on this show last night, to even try to do something like this. It was a big undertaking. Next year, I'm going to have an event planner help me because I don't want to do it all by myself again. But it was so good, and I was so proud of Gabriele and Jacob, and we had Lucas and Adrian up there. It was really really fun to see that happen. And again, take a risk on yourself. Hey, Noel, thank you so much. This was really great. All of us on the call today, if you're watching live or on the replay, what's something you can do today to take a risk on yourself, to bet on yourself, to advocate for yourself? Can you even share what you learned today? We'll take our group picture. Maybe you reshare it in social media and say something that you liked and tag A Noel in it, right? That's another way we can mutually benefit. Anything you want to say in our last 30 seconds, A Noel, before we cut out?
Wow, this was such a blessing. I'm so glad to have shared time and space with you all. And if y'all want to follow me, I'm on Instagram at Fearless Actress.
Let's go. All right, last 30 seconds. Let's take a photo, look into the camera, and here we go. One, two, three. Awesome. I'll post that today, everybody. Thanks so much, A Noel. It's really great. Let's stay connected. Really appreciate you. Good luck on your conference that you're going to speak at, all the mentoring. And when we're back in LA, let's chat and let's see if we can continue to intersect our worlds.
Period. I would love that.
All right, cool. Thank you, A Noel.